Justice League Dark number 6, written by Peter Milligan, art by Mikkel Janin. We left off last issue with Madame Xanadu telling all of the people that she used to fight against Enchantress that they have to form a team. But they're like, no, we're not doing that. All these people are awful. Bye. And she freaks out because, she saw the end of the world if they didn't. So this issue picks up. Constantine is in a burning London. Everything's on fire. Apparently he tried to run a scam where he just made up some magic words that allowed some bankers to believe they were going to get rich. But it actually happened and it summoned demons. And now he's just trying to get it all back to good. He comes across Deadman and Zatanna, who are like, look at what you've done. This is all your fault. And then we see Zatanna freaking out that something is coming again. And we see now she's out of London. It's this just wasteland. And there's this horde of bodies chasing after her, all running like in crab walk mode. And apparently one of her spells backfired. It took a life of its own. And before she can say anything to undo it, like these bodies are shoving their hands into her mouth so she can't even scream. Cut to Shade the Changing Man, who is in a swamp trying to bring his dead girlfriend Kathy back to life. But this time he tells her, like, hey, I made you. You technically were a woman I loved, but you are your own person. You can choose your own name. And she's like, you're pathetic. Making woman, like, what is wrong with you? And it starts to morph into this giant like swamp monster, and attacks Shade. And as he wishes that he wasn't so scared, we cut over to Deadman, who just sees Dove, his ex-girlfriend now, just dead on the pavement in front of him. And apparently he is responsible for her death, and he's sorry for whatever he did. But then he goes into this black steam place and he's like, oh, wait a minute, hold on, this isn't real. This is just like a waking nightmare sort of thing. Why is this happening to me? And he realizes, this only started happening once I jumped into the body of Constantine in the previous issue. I think he may have rubbed off on me. I'm going to go get some answers. So then we cut to Madame Xanadu's place, and Constantine's standing outside. He's about to walk in, but Deadman jumps in the way of the doorway, and he's like, hey, you're gonna have to wait. I need to talk to Xanadu about some of my own problems. And he's like, yeah, all right, by the way, I know who you are now, Boston Brand circus performer. You kind of suck at your job. And he's like, I didn't fall, I was shot. And he's like, all right, whatever. Point being, I need to go see Xanadu before you because I've got some nightmares. And he just storms through Boston, and Boston's like, wait, hold on, you got nightmares too? As they get inside, we see that Zatanna and Shade are already inside, and they're both like, everyone's just pissed off at each other. Shade and Constantine was the only one that was like kind of okay, but then Constantine just like, oh, you're an alien nutcase. So he pissed off at him too. They start to fight a little bit, but then Xanadu jumps in and says like, well, I'm glad everyone's getting along so well. And basically Constantine's the first one who's just like, okay, anyway, I got nightmares. And everyone's just like, yeah, you know what? I have nightmares too. And she's like, I'll explain everything. Does anyone know where Mind Warp is? Mind Warp's kind of crucial to this. And Shade chimes up. He's like, he said he was having problems with his seizure soul, but no, I don't know where he is. And anyway, can you tell us what's up? And she's like, okay, so here's the thing. The thing you are experiencing aren't actually nightmares. And then at that moment, the house they're in just breaks down, and that swamp monster from Shade's nightmare comes barging in. And Shade's like, I think my subconscious and my powers may have made this thing real. Uh-oh. And Zatanna tries using her magic against it. Doesn't work. And so Boston jumps into the body of Shade and, like, charges at it. But it, for some reason, destroys itself. Shade says that it wants to destroy him, but it can't because the magic would then go away. So it just destroyed itself out of anger or something. I don't really understand why that was in there, period. But regardless, Zatanna's like, cool, so at least two people can work together as a team. And Deadman's like, that wasn't teamwork. We had to do that. And Xanadu's like, yeah, exactly. So she explains that the nightmares they're having aren't technically nightmares, but they are visions of possible futures that will come to pass if the five of them don't form a team and work together. That includes Mind Warp. And they're like, do we really have to? And Xanadu's just, yes, you really have to. You don't have to like each other, but you do have to form a team. And as she's recounting that they need to go find Mind Warp in order to complete that and make sure their visions don't come to pass, she immediately starts freaking out and screaming. And she says how she can hear the screams of all the vampires. Andrew Bennett is dead, and Cain, the sire of them all, has arisen. And that brings us to the first crossover of the New 52 along with I, Vampires. It is the Rise of the Vampires was the name of the event, and that's going to be going on for the next 2 months. So if you haven't been checking out the I, Vampires segment of the show, definitely check that out as well. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. I really do love that book. As for this issue, I'm going to give this one a 7. It feels somewhat unnecessary. I feel like they had a 5-issue arc planned and were planning on making it so the team was made at the end of issue 5. But when they realized that they were going to be involved in this crossover starting with issue 7, they were like, okay, so we're just going to keep the team from getting together for an issue, and then we'll have this issue actually get them together, and we'll just kind of pad it out with like whatever stuff. And it's good team building. It's good like character development and showing how all these people interact with each other, because that wasn't really the focus of the previous arc. The previous arc was more setup than it was team dynamics, but it does feel pretty unnecessary overall. It just feels like, okay, we can't actually do anything immediately. We just need the team to be together for the crossover, where then they're going to do stuff supposedly as a team. We'll see. So yeah, I'm going to give this a 7, and it's good. It's fine, but it does feel pretty unnecessary in the gist of things. So I'm more excited for the crossover just because I love iVampire so goddamn much, but this is holding up well on its own as well. So looking forward to see how it contributes to that.